Hello, welcome to Top of the World. Welcome to the channel. My name's Simon. Today we've got an interesting little project. I say today, we're halfway through the day. So I'm wrapping stuff up inside. I've wrapped stuff up outside. I'm now working inside. Winter's coming. We're day 2 or 3 or 4 of rain, I don't know. Anyway, I've got to put a back damper into the wood oven. So I installed the oven 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Not sure. And then my back went, and then this, and then that. And if I don't do these jobs in the summer, anyway, then we've got to put a back flue in. Let me show you what we got. So I pulled the spit out. This is our Walmsley wood oven. Was new, never run. Well, run briefly. Plumbed it in badly. Right. So this is the new chimney liner that's been installed. And what I didn't do was put a damper in up here like I should have done. Anyway, so my job today is to put a flue damper in that. Now there ain't enough room to install one, so I've got to make one. And that's basically a butterfly goes inside there, so I can control the airflow out. So we're in the stores, and I got these stainless steel rods, heavy rods, oh I don't know, a couple of years ago. So we start with one of those. We've scoured my metal department there for something that is thick enough. In an ideal world, you would want a piece of cast. Right, here's one of those rods. And they were obviously drilling rods of some sort, long ones, very long ones. So the idea is, I'm going to drill a hole in the bottom. This goes through there, the washer sits on there, right, that sits in the bottom. And then I want a round plate on here, and then a washer on the top, and then depending on the height I want to put a 90-degree bend in there. Yeah, so now what I want is a piece of steel that I can cut 130mm diameter out of. That's a soggy dog. That's a very soggy dog. It's just been like this for days now. How far did I get with closing things up? Well, I suppose I could show you. That's packed for the winter now. This one's sealed up for the winter. I'm still using stuff out of here and out of there. But yeah, not bad. And that's a wet dog. Right. So the heat and fuel diesel tank that I keep going to, I've got an ugly piece that's not much good for much else. I'm going to cut my circle out of there. I've got that. That's 125mm in diameter. I want 130mm. So by the time I've drawn a thick line around the outside, that'll give me my diameter piece. And my grinder, we'll cut a piece out of there. Don't look very round, I'll grant you, but it will be. Firstly, you fashion a bat out of a bit of wood. Big enough, right, so that you're not missing. Baseball bat's very good, small and round, no good. Large, flat bit of wood, very good. Like that. Dog gone. I'll get it then, pick it up. Yeah. Right, here's the general idea. That's got to go into the middle of our flue at the back of the stove. So that needs to be fixed to that bar like that. But I can't weld it, because if I weld it I can't get it in and out. So I'm going to have to thread the bar and then drill 2 holes in this, and then I can put in some small screws, and that way I can remove this and remove that should I need to. Right, I'm going to put the bend in first, because the bend determines which position I have the butterfly in, and I'm not quite sure what we're into here. All I do know is this is high quality steel, and I've got to put a 90-degree bend in it, and the only way I know of doing that is to heat it up and bend it. Now I have got a few of these, but you obviously you wouldn't want to waste one, so I'm not going to practice. I'm just going to see what happens. What a lovely bend. Look at that. Not made in China. What an absolute marvellous bend. Good job. Okay. So now whilst we're here, I may as well cut that off. It's kind of hard to see what I'm doing. I completely cleared this yesterday. Right. There's me rod with me bend in it. Now what we've decided is this is going to sit against the wall. That way is going to be fully closed, and that way is going to be fully opened. So I need to think about that now when I put this on. If that way is fully closed and that sits in the pipe, it wants to be like that. And then that will be fully open. The open, fully closed. Okay. So steps and processes. Okay. We've got this bar and we've got this steel disc, and we need to fix this to this in a way it can be taken off and put on. So we take our tap set, and I think we want to stay small, so we want to go M3. Right, what's an M3? Well, it's small. I don't know. But what I do know is I have this marvellous little gadget. And this is a thread finder. So if I open it up, it's a bit like the old feeler gauges. You've got all the different thread types. Right, we can forget about all this end because these are all too big. So we go to the other end, like so. Very fine. And then we take our finishing tap. It won't focus very well. And anyway, I found which one this is. I don't think it has Imperial. Anyway, it's got 0.5 on it. Don't want to focus. So then I look into my box of very small stuff and I find a thread that's relevant to this. If I can find a short one, it saves me, like this, it saves me having to cut it down. Right, and there we go. Just like that. So I need another short one like that. We're getting into the really small stuff now. Right, that's a 3mm. Which is that one. Then we want the centre punch. Well, I could measure that, but I'm figuring if it balances, it's got to be in the middle. And I put a ruler in line with the rod. If I score a line right through that, that line will be in the middle. There we go. That's a line scored there. And then I want to come in 1.5 inches. We're going to go with that. Come in 1.5 inches on each side. Use my centre punch. Put the hole in the steel. That'll start my drill bit off in exactly the right way. So when you have a human, you can pull out metal shavings and splinters and things like this quite easily. When you've got a dog, there we go, look at that. When you've got a dog, they think that you're trying to kill them. It's a major thing. Did that work? Yeah, it did. Okay. Right. So for those that don't know, when you're tapping a hole, it's 3 stages. Now you get 3 to each size. And this one cuts it just gently first, and then this one gives it a middle cut, and then the last one, it gives it its final and finished cut. So there's 2 threads in there for some M3 screws to hold this plate on. Find out whether you've done a good job or not when you're going to screw one of them in. Just like that. So what that's going to allow me to do now is that is going to allow me there, like that. How cool is that? And that washer goes on the bottom there, and with another washer on the top, which is this size. And then we need to make some kind of handle for that. But I actually think I'll find another washer for this, and we're ready to go and install this. Right, so that's that installed. That's in the closed position, and you can see whilst it's in the closed position it's never really closed, and then that is in a fully open position. And that's as good a backdraft butterfly as you'll get anywhere. And you see the screws. Now what I do is I'm going to stick some fire rope around here and slide the whole thing back into place. And see how tight the hole is, really important. And then you'll see the handle comes up here. And there's a reason for that, and I'll show you once I've got the stove back. Now I need to add a small copper bracket there to hold it in place. Closed, open, put a wooden handle on that. Job's a good one. I've also added this, which I can use for bleeding the air out of the system. And the reason for that being is the pipe work comes out of the back of this and goes down, and it will go down there. Now there will be a boil over vent that goes up to the tank that will, it does already run inside there, that will go up and the rest of the pipes go down, which means whilst that is the highest point and we are prone to getting air in the system, when you heat with wood you're prone to getting air in the system. This will allow me to bleed the air out of the system, and in the unlikely event of a boil directly in here, I can also vent it from there and it will flood with cooler water and stop the boil over. So that will stop any chance of any explosion here in this vessel, and it will go up to vent to the boil over tank above, and we'll get up there and do some plumbing. And now I'm going to turn all the pipes and go straight down. So then what I've done is I've taken the supply pipe and I've teed it this way. Right, this way goes to the header tank, and then the return goes straight down through the floor there. I've cut out that bit of tile and I've knocked my way all the way through the floor. See the new concrete I had to break through, put it in, take it out. So the big thing for me here is this. Before I wasn't connected into the header tank, so any boils over within the stove itself. So the supply pipe, the pump, is now on the next floor down, albeit it's still connected up here. And the reason for that being is I want to put a new switch up here with the light on. So we'll follow the route down now. I've plumbed that far. And that brought me out into the tooling room. So I've positioned the pump here now. The pump was horizontal before, and they work better if they're vertical. So this is still the supply tube, and I brought the return tube down here with an interesting bend based on the bits I've got. And then I've connected them up here. And the reason we're in 22 and not 28 is because I had 22. All of this is bits I had, and I had 3 lengths of new 22. And that comes all the way down the tooling room and breaks through there. Now you can see what a nightmare I had breaking through there. That took a long time to get through there. That's running down the side of the chimney. Well, that's a bad joint, isn't it? Probably best not look at that one. Anyway, that's this room. So that's from the 3rd floor. We're now on the 2nd floor, and we've got to go down and into the cellars. Have I had a disaster here while I'm doing all this? You don't even want to know. How much stuff has got damaged? A lot. I'm not even going to show you some of the stuff. I have just laid a new oak floor, albeit engineered oak floor, which has been destroyed this morning. Anyway, so as some of you will know, I put a refurbed radiator on here and it burst. And this floor we can see is still wet in here. Right, I'm not going to show you the room. Anyway, what's bad about that is I lost 200 litres of central heating fluid in that one room. Now it's quite a big room, but I've separated the room. Anyway, I've had a disaster in there. So we're now going down onto the next level. Right, so that brings me down through here. Up there is the machine room, and I've come down in here, and this is a kind of junction where all the pipes are in an area in the cellar that's pretty much untouched. What was it like when I bought it? There you go. I'll show you. There you go, it's an untouched room. Where are we? Just off the chickens. That little one's making an awful lot of noise. Anyway, Sarah's just cleaning this lot up. So we come down to here, and then we're through there into the boiler room. And that brings us through the wall here. Right, I've got to separate these pipes because they're touching. I don't want them touching, I want them insulating. That brings them here. That one turns that way and goes that way. And this one, you can see through there, turns that way. Okay, so this is my flow, new flow from the stove, breaking into the main system here. Right, and there's the main pump. Where I wanted to put this one here, it actually has to go here. But I can't put it here because these are press fit fittings, and inside these press fit fittings is a rubber ring. And you can't cut that section out there and solder in. What? 2 reasons. 1, it's not big enough, and 2, you'll melt the rings. So I actually have to remove this whole section here. Let me step back. I actually have to remove this entire section here and completely replumb it to get my return into there. And the reason I need my return into there is because at the moment that stove will run the central heating, but it won't heat water because this ring, it's very complicated, but this ring is the hot water ring. And you will see that my flow and my return are on the same ring. Now the rings don't join, as you can see there. Right, but what they do is at the moment it's running on central heating, and this is the central heating loop. However, when you turn on the water heat loop, this becomes part of the water heating loop, and you've got the flow and the return on the same loop. So, can I use the stove upstairs that I've just plumbed in for heating water? No, I can't. I can only use it for running the central heating, or to add to the central heating. When the hot water loop goes on, these valves here actually have to be turned off. This is such a complex system, I couldn't possibly explain it as simple as that. Anyway, these two pipes, this one here and this one here, are the new route down. And they are running through the main central heating pump, which is there. At the moment it's running at 20 degrees and I can feel no heat coming down from the stove. Which means we still have to light this independently from upstairs to heat the hot water at the moment, because I have to completely reconfigure this entire area here, which I don't have the joints and stuff to be able to do at the moment, because the return valve, the return pipe actually has to go into there in order for us to be able to use the hot water circuit. It's a very complex system, as you can see, and it's all manual. Right, so that's where we are down here. Am I confident this is going to work? Yeah, right. So, there's little or no information available on adding two fuel stoves to the same system, as in 2 wood, 2 coal, 2 anthracite, a wood and a coal and an anthracite, whatever it is. There's lots of information on one, but 2, no. So I've got this big furnace down in the cellar, and on the 3rd floor now I've got a wood stove, both of which, in fact the wood stove puts out more kilowatts of power than the big one down here. It's just the way it is. In an ideal world, what you want to do is bring the supply pipe from both of those appliances into a tank, into a mixing tank. And then you would want to take your hot water feed and your central heating feed out the top of that tank. And that allows the two sources of hot water to be able to mix, the cooler water being at the bottom, the hotter water being at the top. And then you can supply everything that you need. Have I got a tank? Yeah. I could, which is what this used to be for, utilise this in the wood room. This is part of the old school heating system, and this is what this tank was for. So as I said, in an ideal world, we could send all the hot water into this and mix it in this tank. However, this hasn't been used since 1979, and I haven't even been to the point of checking this yet, so we can't actually just go ahead and use that. We've had to plumb it the way we've had to plumb, and the only way we're going to find out whether what I've done works, well, go and light the wood stove and see how long it takes to get the heat into the system. That's the best way of doing that. And more importantly, can Sarah start to cook for free, given electricity prices and everything else is going on? And can we heat the building? Well, let's go find out. Let's do it. Well, I've had enough disasters today to know not to light the wood stove on camera and expect everything to go smoothly. However, I have, and it has, and I'll show you. So that is the firebox. That's been alight now for about 20 minutes, half an hour maybe. Half an hour, say. And there's my dinner, starting to cook on top, free dinner. It's started to discolour the metal. I'm assuming this is normal. Kettle's just gone on. Oven temperature, 140 degrees. Outgoing water temperature, focus, 42 degrees. And that's now running straight through the central heating system. So the water being heated by this is going into the radiators. You can see the pressure there at the top of the building is quite low, which is good because it's an open vented system. And that's fully open there. And then, of course, I haven't put the clip on here and the handle on here. This is the backdraft, fully closed. If you obviously need to increase it for any reason, during lighting it's fully open. And fully closed, and you'll remember, because it was only a few moments ago in this video, there's a gap all the way around it, so you don't actually close it off. So with this top vent open, this is supplying oxygen for combustion in at the top, and the bottom vent's open a little, but not too bad. And it's just doing its thing. So since that's now been alight for about half an hour and it hasn't boiled over the system, and of course it can't because I've got 2 inline pumps, and that's just quite incredible. Amazing. Amazing. Free cooking, and it's going to heat the radiators. So I thought I'd finish this video, but as you can see, the stove's getting busier and busier. So what have we done away with? Well, we've done away with the coffee machine, right, which is electric. We've done away with the induction hob. We've done away with the electric cooker. We've done away with the need to boil the kettle. And we're cooking and heating the radiators. Bit of a no-brainer, really. So I'm going to consider that a success. It's been a bit of a labour of love. What you didn't see is the 2 weeks I've had to wait for certain parts to allow me to plumb in the bottom. But there we go. Dinner, kettle, wood, heating, free. Thanks for joining me. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.